Hunter Biden, where you broke the story about Burisma before in your prep. 5 Bidens.
Right.
It's like a whole family of, I'll say it, of corrupt Bidens. What did you find?
Well, you know, it's interesting. There's 2 sides to Joe Biden. Let me begin with a real small illustration that I think proves the point. Joe Biden has been seen as the Amtrak senator, the guy who's the regular guy who gets on the Amtrak train, would go home to Delaware. That's absolutely true. But in our research, what we found from local newspaper accounts in Delaware is he not only did that, if he was running late, he would call Amtrak and have them hold the train. So, yes, he was regular Joe Amtrak, but if he wanted to pull strings, power for his benefit, he would do so.
Plus, he knew somebody on the board.
Yes.
His son.
Exactly. His son was put on the board. Now, we talk about the 5 Bidens. We know about Hunter. There's new material about Hunter in the book. The chapter's 70 pages long, so there's a lot of ground to cover. But some of the other ones are very, very interesting. James Biden, for example, his brother. Very, very interesting development. In November of 2010, this Old Town Biden family friend named Kevin Justice, who grew up in Delaware with Joe Biden's kids, starts this construction company called Hillstone, goes to the White House in November of 2010, meets in Biden's office, according to White House visitor logs. We don't know what they discussed, Mark. It was the only time he ever visited the White House. But 3 weeks after that meeting, he appoints James Biden, the vice president's brother, as the executive vice president of the construction company. Now,
did James have any construction background?
No, great question, Mark. And the answer is no, he did not. In fact, on the company bio, which is no longer up, they said that his skill was he was comfortable in the corridors of political power. And of course, you're very comfortable when your brother's the second most powerful man in the world. But that's just the beginning of the story. About 6 months after James Biden becomes the vice president, this company gets a contract from the federal government to build 100,000 homes in Iraq. It's about $1.5 billion contract. They get a $22 million contract with the State Department. They get legions of other federal contracts. That's the kind of thing you see repeated over and over with the Bidens. And it's all about the timing, Mark. These things occur when Joe Biden is pulling the strings of governmental power at this time.
And then he always says, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
My son, my brother, my other brother, I don't know anything about anything.
Yeah. Let me give you an example where it's undeniable the role he played. So in June of 2011, these 2 executives from a new company called Startup Health go to the Oval Office. Joe Biden ushers them in to meet with Barack Obama. Startup Health is a healthcare investment company. They barely have a website. They don't have a business plan. They've just been launched. They're meeting with the President of the United States. They have their picture taken. They put it on their website. The next day, they are a centerpiece of this federal conference, Obama administration conference, on healthcare data. Over the next 5 years, Vice President Joe Biden regularly goes to Startup Health's private meetings and updates investors and partners on Obama administration healthcare policy. Now, the fact that I've left out is one of the 3 principals involved in the company is married to Joe Biden's daughter, Ashley Biden. There is an absolute case where he is using government resources, government influence, government information for the benefit of a family member's business. And if you imagine if the Trumps had done that, there would be outrage. I would be outraged. But they haven't done that, and the Bidens have. You can look at his brother Frank. Who did this?
How many Bidens are there right now? I'm just curious.
Well, I tell you, we
they
found...
fill up half the bureaucracy?
Yeah, I mean, we found 5 members that received these sweetheart deals. That is all of his siblings and his living children. Of course, Bo passed away from cancer a few years ago. So it's all 5 Biden family members. Nobody has been left out.
So what about this other brother?
So Frank Biden starts doing deals in Costa Rica shortly after Joe Biden, as vice president, visits the country in spring of 2009. Joe Biden comes down, talks with President Oscar Arias about, providing aid and cooperation. Within months, Frank Biden has a deal with the Costa Rican power company. He has meetings with the president of Costa Rica, with government ministers. He's setting up an energy company. We could add him to the list.
He knows nothing about energy.
No background in energy whatsoever. He is also involved in an energy project in Jamaica. He actually gets the power purchasing agreement on a solar project in Jamaica that is financed with $47 million of U.S. taxpayer money in the form of guaranteed loans. Again, no background in renewable energy. Multiple examples. This is all occurring simultaneously at the same time that Hunter's doing his deals in China and Ukraine, and other family members are engaging in this behavior as well.
Peter Schweizer, when we come back, and the book is great, Profiles in Corruption.